And we're live. I can't dance, Michael. I don't know about you.
No, sir. I didn't get the dancing gene.
It's Follow Me Live! Yeah, we are on LinkedIn. We'll be on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook this morning. Mr. O'Connor.
Some cool music you got going on there, Ira.
Hey, brother. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another Friday. It's Follow Me Live. What do we do on Follow Me's? We are building each other's networks, man. I'm helping you to meet people, to get to know people. We're going to talk a lot about Zig Ziglar, I have a feeling, today, because Michael, you actually used to work for Ziglar. We'll get into that in a little bit. But the point of this show is really simple. I want you to get to know people. I want people to get to know you, because it's not just about numbers. It is about numbers in a sense, but it's not just about numbers. We got to build relationships, man. People don't care how much you know about whatever it is you do until they know that you actually care about them. I mean, that's pretty straightforward. I think everybody's heard that before. It's not an Ira original thought, but it is something I believe in wholeheartedly. So I created this show. I created Follow Me Friday on LinkedIn for one specific reason: to help you get more. I don't care if you're a job seeker, if you're a sales professional, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're an author, if you're an artist. I mean, whatever it is that you're trying to do, the more you get to know people, the better you get to know them, and they get to see and know you, the more likely they're going to want to help you. And I use the word want because that's an important thing. Like, you could pay me to help you, and I'll do whatever you pay me to do. But you can get me to want to help you, and then I'll help you for free, which is pretty cool. So, Michael, I'm going to give you, if you don't mind, maybe just like 60 seconds. If you just give us a little bit about who you are and what you're doing on LinkedIn, and then we can get into the conversation a little bit.
Sure. Hey, thanks so much, Ira. It's a pleasure to be here. It's been a pleasure to watch over the time since Elon introduced us, and watching all your events. So always happy to participate and hear what other people are doing. For me, I'm just a lifelong career sales guy. 30 plus years, so dating myself, but that's it. I'm on my third startup around sales acceleration. But in my past, I've been the president of the Zig Ziglar organization, and we're a proud partner of the Ziglar organization today with Tremazing. My startups were called salesrepsonline.com. In 1998, it was one of the first micro-learning sites that was ever available to salespeople. And we built that and successfully sold that. We started it again in 2006 with a company called Can Do Go, where we worked with Zig Ziglar, Dennis Waitley, Tommy Hopkins, Sandler, Miller Hyman, you name it. We had 150 people giving us content.
Just
and we had 12,000 micro-learning sound bites and videos. And I've also been the executive vice president of Sandler, so working all of their corporate training globally. And today we're at Tremazing, where all we really are is the Match.com of the training industry. We try to help people find the right either coach, trainer, or big training company to help them accelerate success. So that's what we do.
Yeah, that's just a little bit. I mean, I could spend the whole hour talking to you about just about any of those. Yeah. Let's do this first, though. You used the term sales acceleration. I work as a fractional director of sales and marketing for Exit Your Way. And that's actually a term that we use a lot, too. And what I'm finding is when I mention sales acceleration, a lot of people don't understand what that means. So could you just, so we can have an intelligent conversation about this, can you just explain to the audience what sales acceleration is?
Yeah, so sales acceleration, you have to look at it two different ways. The first part is making sure you have the tools, the training, the skills, and you're equipped to operate. But then the second thing is really looking at the KPIs you're trying to improve. So if it's margin, if it's revenue, if it's your win-loss ratios. But the big thing for me when we talk about accelerating sales success is getting rid of all the fluff in the funnel, focusing on what's real, and shortening that sales cycle with really putting energy and muscle behind those opportunities that are real, and disqualifying the ones that are not real.
100%. You said KPI on these shows. I try to explain all the acronyms. That just stands for key performance indicators. For those of you out there who don't know what a KPI is, if you don't, you should, because that's a pretty common one. But anyways, okay. So I like one of the things you said right off the bat. Get rid of the fluff. I'm going to give you guys some LinkedIn advice for your recommendations on your profile. I want you to do these. Recommendations are becoming more and more important. Okay. So go through your recommendations. I don't care if you've got 50 of them, 5 of them, 1,500 of them. I think I have 50 on mine, and I've written 40. And the reason why I have 50 and not 150, because I had a lot more. I went through and I blew a bunch out. If it was from somebody who didn't really know me, or that was talking about something that really didn't matter, you know what I mean? Like, Ira's the most friendly guy ever. Great. But how does that help me in business? You know what I mean? Like, it's important to be friendly, but that's all they said. Or like, I really enjoy watching Ira's LinkedIn Live. Great. That's fluff, man. What do I do for a living at Bowman Digital Media? I'm helping people with visual communications. I'm helping them increase their sales funnel. I'm designing websites. I'm managing social media for business platforms. Okay. So that's the stuff I'm doing. So I'm looking for recommendations that are in that. Anything outside of that, gone. Right. And that's what you're talking about in your funnel. Like, okay, I am in the print business. I was in the print sales business for over 20 years. And so, you know, I would drive by, you could say a lead or a prospect could be anybody that has a pulse. I would just be driving down the road. Oh, they're a prospect. And then you give that list to your sales manager or to the owner, whoever, and they go, okay, well, did you talk to them? Well, no, but they're in business and they could potentially, you know, and it's like, no, man, that's junk. That's junk. That's junk. Come on. So that's what you're talking about there.
Yeah, and I think, you know, the mistake that a lot of solopreneurs or small businesses, individual people make is that they want to feel good because they're busy. They want to feel good because they're making contact with somebody and talking to people. They want to be liked, so they don't ever, you know, they just keep doing work that's not going to yield the results that they're looking for. So,
right.
You know, focus on what you can do.
See who's in the comments there?
I see Alon.
Now, what's funny is Alon and you and I were on the same wavelength, brother, because as you were typing that, I think I was explaining what the fluff is. So that's pretty cool. What you were just talking about too, Zig Ziglar said, you're going to miss 100% of the sales you don't ask for. So one of the things with the sales, like if we're giving sales advice, and I think the show is going to be mostly sales centric, guys, in case you haven't figured that out. So if you're in sales or you want to be in sales, you're at the right spot because you're going to get some good info. But you miss 100% of the shots you don't take is another way to say that. Like if you're that timid sales guy, one of the Ziglarisms that I really like, timid salespeople have skinny kids. My kids are fat, bro. Like, you need to get out there and exercise, partly because they play video games a lot, honestly. But your activities have to drive sales. You have to be, you have to live on purpose. You have to have a plan, a good strategy. It has to be well thought out. You have to, another thing is lead with the need, right? Not with what we do. That's another Ziglarism, right? So I'm gonna say those a lot, I think. But too many people are talking about what they do, what they're good at, you know, their latest gadget, service, whatever, and not considering or applying that just 1 or 2 steps, going to, okay, here is, I know about your industry. You guys struggle with these things. And maybe even I've done some research on your specific company, and I see you guys are deficient in this thing. We have a product that if we were to insert it would help you, and here's how, and then give them that. That's the presentation that you want to make, not about, you know, the speeds and feeds of the printer, because I was in the printer business, right? But about how that printer would help them increase their sales or reduce or eliminate a bottleneck, those types of things, right? So
absolutely. And I think you used a good word in there, activities. And we call those behaviors, right? What are the behaviors that the salespeople are actually doing? And, I've been blessed to be around so many great authors and experts, but also like great salespeople. There's people out there that are still in the business and they're salespeople, and they just get after it every day. They're doing the activities and the behaviors that you need to do, right? The sales aren't going to come to you. You have to go get them. So I love that, and I love your Ziglarisms. Keep them coming, man. We could talk Ziglarisms all day long, because that guy he made selling fun, man.
I marked a couple. So in full disclosure, I got to do this right. This is my favorite book outside the Bible. Okay, the Bible is my number one book, but this is my favorite book written by somebody other than God. Okay, I love this book, and one of the things I like about the version that I've got here we go. I've got some marked because I wanted to make sure we hit some of my favorites. So this one comes from page 61. It says, the primary reason people will choose not to buy from you is lack of trust. And if you actually pay attention to what I do on LinkedIn, what I do on social media, I'm constantly trying to build my rapport, to build that trust factor with people that I engage with. 100%. Be a man of your word. Like if you say you're going to do something, then you do it, even if nobody's watching. Like you and I, when I was giving you, it's kind of funny. We can talk about this. I invited you to be on this show today when I was on another show that you were in the comments, and you sent me a thing like, hey, were you serious about it? I'm like 100%, like 100%. I wasn't just, I try not to be flippant about anything. Like if I say it, I mean, you know what I mean? And I think that's what he means there. If they don't trust you, forget it.
It's been said people will buy from people who are like them, or people will buy from people they like, but it's people will talk to people that they like. People will do business with people they trust. That's the way Zig would say it.
I want to high five Virginia and smack her all at the same time. Virginia, that is my favorite Ziglarism as well. I cannot believe you stole mine, but I was going to get there. But this is 100% true. And I think if you're in sales and you think this way, stop thinking about what's in it for you. You should know what you want. You should have your goals, set up, personal, professional, all those things, long-term, short-term. I'm not saying that that's not important. You definitely should have all that. But when you're in front of your clients, if you're thinking about what's in it for you, you've missed the mark. What you really need to do at that point, I call it the POV. You want to have the point of view of the client. Like you're sitting in their chair and you have their weight on your shoulders, all the headaches, all the problems, all the pressures. What can you do to fix those problems for that person? Because as a sales rep, if you come out and you can call it solution selling, you can call it consultative selling, you can call it whatever acronym fancy speak you want. But basically the bottom line is if you can fix their problems, it becomes a no-brainer. That's what I was always looking for, because I'm not the smartest person in the room. I'm certainly not the most attractive. I'm not the funniest. I'm none of those things. I'm just an aw-shucks salesman who gives a crap about people. So if I could get in at a conference room table with somebody and sit there and have a cup of coffee as we discuss what they need, or hopefully even better, I can already know what they need and I can come in with some solutions already. That's even better. But the bottom line is, if I'm talking about me, frankly, if I'm talking in sentences, usually I've failed. Salespeople should be asking lots and lots of questions, right? And you just ask the next question to identify the objection, which is another thing I learned from Ziglar. Like questions are to identify objections. And if you can eliminate all the objections, then again, the path to the yes is clear. So
if you can anticipate what those objections might be and hit them earlier in the sales conversation, you ask questions to identify pain, as Sandler would say, or need. You ask questions to identify budget and the decision process. You're spot on, or it's not. We don't speak in sentences. We ask questions. And is it okay to follow what you're talking about there with Zig's favorite quote, you can have everything in life you want if you'll just help enough other people get what they want. Can we ask the audience, why did they get in sales? What were the reasons you got into sales?
Love it. 100% love it, because I'm a people person. I like to help people. I run a philanthropy called Project Help You Grow. I've done it for years. I get nothing, and trust me when I say I get nothing out of it, other than the best thing ever. I get these DMs periodically from people saying, "Hey, Ira, I just want to let you know that I was really struggling to find a job. I utilized Project Help You Grow, and now I have a job, and I just want to thank you." And then usually the follow up to that is, "Now, can you please delete my Project Help You Grow profile?" But and that's fine. I can, yes, no problem, because there's no advertising on the site. There's nothing. There's no financial incentives. It's just free help. But that the satisfaction that I get at helping people is actually more rewarding to me personally, gratifying, if you will, than the money that I get. And I've made millions of dollars in sales. So I'm not saying that I haven't been compensated fairly. I've been compensated more than fair.
Yeah.
But I got into sales because I like to help people. I know a lot of people do get into it because they're chasing monetary goals, and that's okay. Again, as long as you're keeping the reason and the reason you're talking to a person and what you're talking about with that person on them, so centered on them and their needs. It doesn't matter what motivates you, as long as that's the truth. Where you run into problems as a salesperson is if you forget that you're talking to a person, not just a potential sale, right?
Yep.
Don't treat them like a prospect. Treat them like a person. Maybe is the way
I think I found the 3 top reasons that, and I've interviewed and hired hundreds and hundreds of salespeople over, the years. They want to make money. They want freedom of schedule to control their own schedule, right? They think, they could just go out, and especially newcomers, they think that's really cool. I've seen other salespeople play golf or, take 3-hour lunches.
Right.
And a lot of people just want to have fun, like, make money, have fun, have control of my own schedule. But the real thing, and it goes to what you were just saying, is if you go out to be a difference maker, if you get into sales to be a difference maker in your customers and your prospects' lives, that's when the money will take care of itself. The free time will take care of itself, right? The fun, if you're making money, you're having fun. If you're helping people, you're having fun, right?
We have a question for you from Alon. Sure. He is asking to you specifically, how do you select the right sales approach for you or your organization?
That's a great question, Alon. And I think could be answered multiple ways, but I would say that you look at the type of business you're in. Are you in a highly transaction oriented environment where maybe the investment you're asking of your prospect is smaller and you're constantly moving through customer opportunities and discussions? You're probably going to want a very succinct process, something that gets you through the discussion fairly quick. If you've got a more complex, longer sales cycle, you're going to want to stay in your methodology, in your process, where it keeps you in control of the conversation, but allows you to stay in touch with the buyer's journey. Right now, there's so much information made available to our customers and our prospects. They've got a whole new decisioning process, a whole new decisioning tree, and a buying journey that they're going on. We can do our best as salespeople to control the dialogue and control the conversation, but we've got to do it in the context of staying within the buyer's journey.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest things for sales strategies, I mean, you've hit on it. There's different vertical markets. There's different sales cycles. So one of the things that I think is common right now, and it's based on where we are, good economy, bad economy. Right now it's a remote economy. I think that the key to right now as a sales process has to incorporate more human interaction, because think about how people reach out to you. They reach out to me. I'm a business owner, so I get spam every single day. Most of it comes in the form of some type of animated, even though they don't know that I know that it's animated, but I know, and I think most of us can recognize when that wasn't really written to me. That's a script that they just inserted my name and maybe my company name in, right? So the things that catch my attention the most are the personal touches, right? The handwritten note, the video that comes in, the comment on my post that's relevant to the actual post, not just, hey, help me find a job, or hey, would you like to buy some software or whatever, right? So that personal touch, if you can thread that in to any of these sales quote unquote processes that you would implement, I think will be the more successful one for now. And that might change, because I'm going to give you some real life examples. Now, in the 90s, the most common method for cold calling was the phone. Outreach style was telephone. And if you tried to call somebody, most likely you were going to get screened out. You weren't even going to get the decision maker. You were going to get a secretary, an office manager, something like that. They were going to block you. We call them gatekeepers, right? Well, back then, if I would go to a person's office, feet on the street, I would kind of get around a lot of that because it wasn't as common. You know what I mean? Like people weren't used to the guy standing there without the appointment. Because they will ask you, do you have an appointment? You're like, well, no, I don't, but I'd like to, just say hello real quick. And if you do that, you're a man of your word. Like I'm just, hey, my name's Ira. I'm with this XYZ company, and I just wanted to introduce myself. I would love to make an appointment with you. I don't expect to sit down with you now. I know your time is valuable, but I just wanted to meet you face to face. And, anyways, I would get a lot of ad hoc appointments. They're like, hey, well, you're here. Let's just meet, which is what I really wanted. But you know what I mean? Yeah. And when I didn't, I would get appointments because they knew I was not going to go away. That shows some initiative, right? Which is another thing people do appreciate is effort. So you can show them. But as to 2000s started, it seemed like that became more trendy. People, like I was running into more salespeople doing that. And so then I started picking up the phone because there was less people on the phone. It's kind of funny how that flip-flopped. And then emails came in, obviously, and that dominated. So when emails first started, I was actually pretty successful with emails too. But now I'm doing handwritten letters.
Oh, going back to old school.
Old school, like back to the 50s and 60s. You know what I mean? But it's nothing new. It's just you're looking at the lanes or the there's different outlets for communication. Mm-hmm. Right. There's emails, there's phone calls, there's video chat, there's these webinars and all the Zoom calls and stuff. I think we're all zoomed out at this point. But, if you can get a personal thread in there somehow so that you can, because people are craving, I think, more right now than at most times because we're all isolated, that interpersonal interaction. You know what I mean? Like,
for sure. I want to go back to, if it's okay, to something you said about you get hit all day long with people trying to email you, and you can tell when it's a script and it's just going to, 5,000 people are automated. Yeah. I get the same thing, being the CEO here and everybody's trying to sell me something. I would just give the audience, a suggestion that you got to change it up. And if you can do any kind of research on personality styles, whether it's from DISC or predictive index or any of the assessment types that will allow you to understand the makeup of the person you're about to go through. And I'm going to give a plug to a company. I'm not a partner with them. I don't do anything, but it's an awesome tool. It's Crystal Knows, and it connects to LinkedIn. And when you go, and if I was to look up Ira Bauman, it will tell me what your DISC style is and how my style relates to you.
Is it Crystal and then K?
Yeah, Crystal Knows. Yeah, CRYSTAL KNOWS. It's just such a powerful tool, and especially if you're not familiar with what that means, it means you can go in and look at who you're prospecting to and find out if they're a direct person. Then your message is really succinct. If there's somebody who's a little more outgoing and inspirational, you're going to want to talk about things that are personal. If there's somebody who's more secure, or a steady relator, we call them, or slow to change, a loyalist, you want to take your time and nurture that person. If it's somebody who's really more about facts and figures and data, make sure you're doing something data-driven and statistically driven to catch their attention.
I put their URL in the comments, guys, so if you want, you can just go click on it and see what Michael's.
It's awesome. I think there's still a free trial. You could check it out and just see. It's wild. It's really wild.
It started for free on the screen here. I'll just pull it up. I mean, we're not trying to pitch these things today, but I mean, if you've got tools that you want to recommend, by all means, we can pull it up. We can show people. So yeah, there's a get started for free right there.
Yeah, it'll analyze your history, your posts, what you're following, what you're doing. So it'll just pick up on your natural DISC style, and then you'll look at your prospect, pull them up, and it'll actually tell you the best way to communicate to them before you even send a message or make a call.
Virginia's trying to get on my show. You know what I mean? Like, you're saying these smart things. I'm going to have to invite her on. But Virginia, here you go. This is super smart too. So you're batting 1,000 with me today. Slow down, man. Like, your pipeline should have more than one person in it. A person that you're talking to shouldn't feel like you're so desperate. In fact, I'm going to tell you that job seekers, that's one of the number one reasons why you're still a job seeker, is because we can sense the desperation when we talk to you. And that is not a quality most people want to buy. Okay. Most people want to buy things that are in high demand, not in ready supply. So if you know how pricing works, you know, the pricing model, when supply is high and demand is low, you have to drop your price if you expect to sell it. When supply is low and demand is high, you get to raise your price. That's how it works. Okay. That's just basic economic model. All right. So when you're talking to someone as a sales rep and you come across as desperate, I got to hit my quota. I got to hit my quota. You're going to help me hit my quota. You're making a huge mistake. You've got to be like, really, you should have this attitude anyways, that if it doesn't help you, don't buy it. But you need to come across that, even if that isn't your attitude. If your attitude is, I've got to hit my freaking number, or I'm on the chopping block. And that's, we could talk about the good things of sales and the bad things of sales. That is one of the realities of sales, is it's a pressure cooker. And every month you can go from hero to zero with the turn of a page. Like, it's October 31st tomorrow. And then it's going to be November 1st. And I don't care if you were 50% over your quota. Good job. But now it's time to start over. So what do you got in your pipeline for this month? And hopefully you were working on that ahead of time. You know what I mean? So you should start November with something already coming in, is what I'm saying, right? Let me be your sales manager for you and give you that prep talk. Don't start November in November. When I was in sales, well, I'm still in sales because I own a business, but when I was working for other people as a sales rep or as the sales manager, I tried to look at the month, and we could talk about this strategy too if you like, but I tried to do like from the 15th to the 15th. I had my own, call it a fiscal month, if you will. But I knew that if I didn't get orders in by the 15th, the odds of me closing them out and getting the order processed and invoiced was not very high by the end of the month. So I set my own arbitrary 15th to 15th. And so in October, I was working on November, and November, I was working on December. And, if you think like that and kind of, work ahead with your pipelines, and it depends, again, industry, this is going to matter what you're selling, because some things are same day transactional, instantaneous. And some things I sold were like a year buy cycle. So if I was working on, the 15th of the 15th, when it was a year buy cycle, way off. But, so you do have to obviously adjust. But the whole point is, if you slow down and go on their timeline. Now, I'm not saying don't have, your test closes and work towards closing. Of course, you got to do that. But don't make it from a position of desperation. Make it a position of, we're going at the customer's pace, even if we're prodding them a little bit. That's okay. I think you got to get outside your comfort zone to grow, right? So if you're leaving your customer totally in the comfort zone, then you're probably not pushing hard enough. But slowing down for most people, because it's like it's the world of instant gratification. I want it now. I want it now. I want it now. It's like, well, it doesn't matter what you want as the sales rep. It actually matters what they want. Your job is to convince them that they want what you have to offer.
Or help them become self-aware that they absolutely need it. And yeah. I think again, you talk about emotion and feeling desperate. We know that people buy us, even you are me, people on this call, we buy emotionally and we rationalize intellectually. Like we get emotionally attached to our decision. And we want to make sure that when we're asking questions, we're leading people down that path so they get really emotional about what they need. But as salespeople, it's got to be flipped. We can never seem emotional about the sale. We have to take emotion out of it. And that, I will tell you, is probably one of the number one things I learned through the Sandler organization, was how to keep my emotions in check in the sales process. Because if you come across as desperate, if you come across as you need this sale, that's when they're going to start banging on you for discounts and really playing you, and the pendulum is switched to to their side in control.
A lot of sales, the final price comes down to leverage. So if you come across as desperate, you're giving away all your leverage, 100%. So you guys have questions for look, this is turning into a sales masterclass, which is really cool. this is all I've done for 20 years, and I love Ziglar. We've got more Ziglarisms. If you guys want another one, let me turn to one of these that I've marked. Okay, so actually this was one I've already said, but so we never lead with the product, we lead with the need. So we could talk about that a little bit just to give us something to talk on when we're waiting for any comments or something. But for you, so you have sold a few different types of things. So let's give an example of, a product or service that you've sold. And then we could talk about, an example, like we could maybe give a negative example of how to do it and then a positive example, kind of give people a little bit of I don't know.
Yeah. So, when you're leading with need, you're making it all about the customer. Mm-hmm. So I'll give you another one that I'll share, and it's not a Ziglarism. It's, Tom Hopkins was another big influence in my life. And when he said lead with need, he changed the lettering in need. Instead of NEED, it was NEAD. I don't know if you remember this, Ira, but when you're leading with need, you want to find out, what do they have now? That's what the N stands for. What do they have now? What are they currently doing? What's the situation right now? The E is, hey, what do you enjoy about what you have now? Or what do you like about what's going on? What are the good things about the product? Especially if you're trying to usurp somebody who's already in there, an incumbent, you want to find out what they really like, what's going on. And instead of saying, well, we'll keep you up at night, or, how bad is it? You use the A instead of the E. The A in needs, you say, everybody, I've run across a lot of people who really do enjoy their product or service, and I understand that, but none of us bat 1,000. If you could alter or change one thing about what's going on in your situation, it changes the conversation. No matter how much they were in love with what they had, they would always say, you know what, here's the thing that's really, if I could just get the shipments on time, they always seem to be late. Now you're going to be focusing on delivery, right? Or, a lot of times there's too much downtime, and they're not meeting our service level agreements. And if we could just get them to keep that up. So now you're starting to dig into the pain. Mm-hmm. And once you have what they have now, what they like about what they have now, what they would alter or change, then you transition to the D. What's their decisioning process? What's their buying process? How's that going to work? And you're not even presenting yet. You're not getting your feature function. You loved when you said gidget or gadget. You're not taking that out yet. You want to know what they have now, what they like, what they would change, how the decision is going to be made before you even take out of your bag or open up a Zoom demo and show them what you have. Once you understand those four things, needs, the last one is S, now you can sell your solution. Right?
I'm actually typing that up real quick. That's great. Okay,
you can probably, yeah.
That's in the comments, guys, in case you hello. I think this says hello from Netherlands. Carly, I don't speak Dutch. I think that's what it is, Dutch in Netherlands. So I apologize. I'm a silly American. I speak basically English. And sorry. But here, if you want that definition of need, look, if you start a sales conversation, like that's your first conversation or the first in-depth conversation that you have with somebody with this need process, you will be more effective in most cases because you're coming at it, again, from the point of view of the client, not from, I represent Bowman Digital Media. We make websites, we make videos, we make logos. Now, tell me about what you do. If you do that, you are falling down. That's a bad example. Okay. So don't do what I just did. My name is Ira Bowman. I work for Bowman Digital Media. We are the best website developer out there for $1,000. We turn a 4 or 5 page website around, in 4 or 5 days, and we'll help drive your views through the roof. And then you find out they already have an awesome website. They don't need one. And you've just wasted your time. And they're like, I don't care. This selfish dude doesn't care about me. He's just trying to tell me what he does. So you could come across that way, and many people do. I can tell you, look, if I wanted to embarrass people, which I don't, but if I did, I would just open up my DMs or my email box and show you hundreds, thousands of messages that I get. I get 100 spam messages a day. And every one of them have in common this. They're telling me all about them. They're telling me all about how great they are, how great they are at what they do. They don't even know if I need it. I get emails from my competition. tell me, hey, if you need a website built or you want to, improve your mind, like you obviously didn't look at me at all. You know what I mean? Or coaches,
Yeah.
I'll get these LinkedIn coaches. They got 3,000 followers, 10,000 followers. Are telling me they're going to help me build my network. I'm like, if you were really that good, why wouldn't you build yours first? I don't know. I mean, I'm just curious. I did get a smarty pants response from somebody who said, well, I build other people's. I don't need to build mine. I'm like, well, great. Well, who are they? You know what I mean? Like maybe lead with that then. If you help people build their network, then why don't you, lead at least with something tangible?
Well, first you got to find out if they need a network built.
There's that. There is that, right? and not everybody needs to have 200,000 followers. I totally get it. You know what I mean? I don't sell my services at all like that. I do. I'm going to give you guys another tip. Okay. Social media tip. If you're going to sell online, social media, you don't need to sell like, hey, do you need a website? Hey, do you need what you do instead is like post some of the stuff that you've done. Say, hey, look what I just did. Tag the company so you're helping prop them up. It makes them feel good. And you can give an example of what your capabilities are without having to be a braggart, right? I don't need to make wild claims. Like I'm the best social media manager on LinkedIn, which is probably not true anyways. I think I'm good at it, but am I the best? Probably not. There's probably somebody better. But the fact is, you see me posting about the companies that I manage all the time. It just, it builds in that credibility. When I'm asking for something or trying to highlight something, I'm usually trying to prop other people up. Again, we're going to come back to the trust factor. Like if I had a show with Alon for a while. We were doing the blog club. We pulled it because we weren't getting very many views. It just is what it is. Because people weren't watching, and we assumed they weren't interested, and we had other ways to spend our time. But in that show, it was about Alon. It wasn't about me. You know what I mean? It was about his blog, and I was trying to help prop him up. That was nothing really in that for me per se. But I think he writes a great blog, and I think more people. He uses a term called emotional relevance, and I love it. And I think he's very smart. And I don't understand why we didn't get more viewers. I wish we did. But you know what I mean? At the end of the day, that show, the whole point of that show for me was to help highlight him and his work.
When you talk, we said, let's give a positive example. I take a lot of sales calls from people because I am interested in building our partnerships and our channels and looking at the enabling tools that will accelerate success. So I take calls from salespeople, and they're normally a Zoom call or a Teams meeting or a GoToMeeting, whatever their platform is that they like to use. And there's two things that are like, just driving me crazy as somebody who's been around sales for a long time, to the point of when it goes bad, they immediately start. They forget the whole thing about relationships and starting with a conversation or an agenda, and they feel compelled to dive right into their products and services. No questions, no setting of agenda. And I don't even know, where the call is going to go. And sometimes I let it go just so I can maybe point it out to them at the end of the call. But other times, I'll shut it down because I just don't have the time to invest in it. Yeah. The other bad thing that I'm seeing people do is a lot of these virtual sales calls, they're scheduling for only 30 minutes. When they used to schedule a face-to-face meeting, it was 60 minutes, right? Or even 90 minutes. They're truncating the amount of time because they're trying to squeeze so many calls in. Right. And what the thing that's driving me the craziest is I'll be engaged. I want to see more, but they keep talking about it. And it comes up to like, it's now 29 minutes past the hour and I have a hard stop, and they didn't get to even sell me. They kept talking. They didn't save room at the end. They were not watching the game clock or the time clock. It was delay a game over and over and over again, man, penalties. Just if you have 30 minutes, make sure you're saving 5 or 10 minutes to talk about next steps. Do a temperature check. Where are they in this? And schedule another meeting, because closing isn't always closing for the sale. It's closing for that next step. It's closing to be introduced to somebody else in the buying cycle.
Well, in that, what you just said, a huge issue. First of all, they're making too many statements, not asking enough questions. Because if they were, then you wouldn't run into that situation, because you could help steer them. Because if you're the prospect and you want to get to the heart of this, like, how do I move forward? How do we take this step to the next, to get going? And they don't even allow you an opportunity. That's a major problem. That's a bad salesperson. But also, the number one thing that people forget in sales is it's a listening game. It's not a talking game.
100%.
I need to ask questions to get them to tell me more. The only time I need to open my mouth is when we get off track, because sometimes they'll take you off on a tangent. Like, I don't care about your 5th grade first girlfriend stuff. You know what I mean? Like, we got to kind of keep this on target. But then also, like we talked about already, I'm looking for discovery questions so that I can, when I come back with my solution, my proposal, because I'm assuming in this particular sales meeting, I'm not going to quote you on the spot, right? Because that's the type of sales that I always did. I always did like come back. And so we're going to have 2 or 3 or 4 or 10 meetings. But when I come back to make that proposal, I want to address all your objections. If I don't know what they are because I'm not asking for them, how in the hell am I supposed to do that? You know what I mean? So those prospect meetings, those getting to know you, those discovery calls, those pre-quote calls, as I like to call them, those have to be more for you as a rep to listen and speak less in statements and more in questions. You really, even when you're presenting the quote, should probably be speaking with a ratio of somewhere about 50% questions, because you want to make sure, I mean, you already know what you've written, you've got it there, but did it really address the needs? Did it hit the mark? If you don't ask, and you could walk out of there feeling confident, like, hey, I gave him a great price, or I gave her a great price. I know this product will really address their needs, but what you don't actually know is, do they see it that way? Because sometimes we might know exactly what we think would be best for them, best for their business, but they don't have that. And that's part of our job, is to show them and convince them. But if you just assume that they're on board with you, they've got 3 other quotes from other people. This actually happened to me not too long ago. I made a rookie mistake. I presumed that the person that I was quoting, because it was in the construction space, and I've been in the construction space my whole career. Everything I've done as the construction space has been a part of it. So I was looking at being a social media manager for a construction company in Pennsylvania. And I just presumed that they understood the intrinsic value that I would bring to the table, because I know their vernacular, I know their audience, so I could help position them from a social media standpoint in a way that would help them, I think, enormously. But they didn't evaluate that into the equation. They just looked at the artwork package submission and picked somebody with a much smaller network. And I went through their profile. They have 0 construction industry experience. And I'm like, that's my fault. They didn't consider it because I didn't mention it. Like, I should have highlighted that. So, even with 20 plus years of sales experience, I still make mistakes too. So there you go.
Yeah. So there's, I think I see a question in the chat, and it's probably perfect timing around what you just said. It's Thomas is asking, what are qualities of a good data visualization for you?
Right.
So I would change that to, what are the qualities of a good visualization for me, to what makes for most memorable presentation that I'm going to give somebody. How am I going to make them remember me? Because I don't want to sound like a Me Too salesperson and everybody else that they've talked to try to sell them something. So what's going to be the most memorable thing that I can give them? One of our partners, Corporate Visions, does an awesome job with this whole thing, around the 4 value conversations, and what I'm presenting, if it's not meeting that value, I'm not going to be presenting it. I'm not going to have it on a slide. It can't be superfluous information. But the other cool thing that you just said was an unmet need, something somebody didn't realize. If they're just considering this small box of, here's what I think my needs are, but they're not considering what the unmet challenges are for them. That's our job. Whatever our industry is and whatever our specialty is, we have to bring to their attention what that unmet need or unmet problem that they're not even considering might be. And what was the second part of his question? Because there was
let's see. Let's go back to it. So, makes sense.
Useful versus useless.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you guys ever watched? Ira, you ever watch Chopped? You ever watch a show Chopped?
I do. So I don't watch a ton of TV, but that one I do know. And I'm gonna tell a joke about that after you
I don't watch a whole lot of TV either, but sometimes I cruise into that. And the people who get chopped most often get chopped because they didn't use the mystery ingredients in the basket. They
Right.
kept adding
Right.
things from the pantry and throwing other things in there, and it's like it's useless.
They
It's
got off.
super
They got
food.
off topic,
Yeah,
right? Like they
yeah.
just
So
wanted to use bacon. They wanted to use bacon and show that they could use bacon in anything, but it wasn't one of the four ingredients.
right, exactly. So
So
that's the same thing in sales. So sometimes we just want to overload and we talk ourselves right out of the sale.
this
Right.
is why I was, as a sales rep, I was always kind of irritated when they said, "Okay, we're going to focus on selling this today." It's like my pipeline isn't built for that. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like I can't just go to you randomly and say, "Hey, I've got this thing. You should buy it." Why should I buy it? Well, because we need to sell units of this to make a vendor happy because my owner signed up for some program and we've got to order them. It's like I always hated that. But to the chopped, I think you probably know. If you don't, you're about to know. I have 8 children. Married 20 years, 8 children. My wife is a wonderful cook, but we love this show Chopped. Actually, we don't watch it anymore. I don't even know if it's still on. But anyways, we used to watch it. And so everybody's familiar with it. My wife will get chopped sometimes at dinner.
We do the same.
And I'm like, why would you do that? Because if we were going to have dessert, now we're not. It's not like we've got 3 other cooks waiting in the wings to, get the next round. I mean, but it is kind of funny. So she's like, I can't believe they chopped me.
Yep.
Legitimately. And now the kids, because my children range from 6 to 20. So I have quite the range there. But, some of the teens are cooking and, so we chop them sometimes too now. It's kind of funny. Anyways, has nothing to do with sales, but.
But it has to do with sales. If we go back, I love the fact that you said timid salespeople have skinny children. That's like
Yeah.
when I would get up in front of a room, I would you'd have a big room of people you're talking to, and I'd have one half of the room yell out at the same time, timid salespeople, and the other side have skinny children, and just go back and forth, and it totally gets it. But I want to make a real point here for your listeners or for anybody who's listening. We're right now in a really, we have to temper everything through the lens of what's happening with the pandemic, with the election, with civil unrest, like everything that's going on. And this can hamstring salespeople if they get so focused on that. This is not the time not to sell. It's not the time to wait until we see what happens next. We have to take all those things into consideration, but we can't be timid. We can't operate with fear. People will smell that. And maybe you're in a sales cycle, you're selling a product that, yeah, maybe your customers are going to wait to make a buying decision right now until things for the next 3 weeks or so. But what you're doing as a salesperson is you are making sure that you're going to hit the ground running in January.
Yep.
You're going to make sure that I heard a great saying that people say, well, is it ethical to sell right now? Is it ethical to sell during these times?
Why wouldn't it be?
Yeah. So the thing is, if you were selling somebody something they didn't need before, that's considered unethical.
And,
it's also unethical.
but that's always true. That's always true, right? I mean, isn't that always true? I mean, look, if you're being unethical, it has nothing to do with the moment. I'm gonna tell you, I did not own Bowman Digital Media before, quote unquote, these times. I didn't need anything, but now in Bowman Digital Media, I need stuff. So if nobody would sell me anything right now, I'd be in a world of hurt.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like I legitimately need stuff.
We do.
I bought the backdrop. I bought the shirt. I made the graphics. Obviously, I designed the graphics, but I didn't print that banner. I don't work for a print shop anymore. I could have, over 20 years, printed this banner any day I wanted at any of the shops I worked for, but I don't work for any of those anymore. So I had to order it, and I did. And the shirts, same thing. These were embroidered. Queensboro.com is where I got it. In case anybody wants to use them, they did a great job. I actually ordered a second set because my family. I got my clothing in, Michael, and I was all excited, and I got my hat, and I'm like, it's the first time in my life that I ever wore my own logo. You know what I mean? So it was kind of an emotional moment, if I'm being honest. It was, it was one of those, like, I got a little teary-eyed if I'm being completely transparent, which makes me sound like a big baby, but whatever. So I'm going through that. I put some stuff on Instagram and Facebook, and my wife goes on Facebook and goes, "Hey, turkey, where's mine?" And I go, I am a horrible husband, right? So I had to correct that. So I ordered stuff for my wife and kids. And now my mom's calling me, well, what about me? And I'm like, God, all right, I got to think about this some more. But anyways, if nobody would sell me because, they think it's unethical to do business, Like, what are we supposed to do? Shut down? You know,
No.
people still want to eat. People still want to, like I got to go to the grocery store and buy milk and eggs and all bread and all that stuff. I mean, I still want entertainment. We're watching Netflix, and what if Netflix shut down and said, well, you know what, guys, because you're all trapped inside all day. We don't feel it's right to take your money. Like, that would be a disaster. So I don't know, but if you're taking advantage of people, whether you're doing it now or you were doing it before, or you do it post it, pre-pandemic, post-pandemic, or during the pandemic, if you're taking advantage of people, that's not ethical. So it either is or it isn't. The timing here is irrelevant. What I'm trying to say. You might want to change your business model based on the needs, because people's needs change. For example, more online stuff. I'm seeing so many virtual everything, right? Courses, networking, finish your degree. You can even order McDonald's and get it delivered to your home right now, which I never saw that before in my life. But, now it's like, I get it. People don't want to go out, especially where I live in Southern California. It's really bad here still, just in full disclosure. But anyways, I think that's crazy. And, oh, by the way, I wanted to say, later, my friend. Have a good day.
See you, Elon.
Back for more nuggets. Well, we're happy to have you here, Rita. Let's see. I think we got a question here. Everyone needs to learn strong sales relationship building skills. As an employee, you're selling yourself to employer, small business owner. Yeah, I actually led with this in the beginning. Job seekers too. Job seekers don't consider themselves salespeople, but they are. You're selling yourself. It's why I want my job seekers. I wrote a blog. You would actually really like this. I'm going to pull it up. It's on projecthelpyougrow.com. It's called 5 Ways to Find a Job Like a Sales Pro. That's the title of this blog. But I wrote it because most people think sales is icky. You know that. We have a stigma. There's so many people who think salespeople are what? Unethical. We're going to lie. We're going to say whatever. And that's not the sales. That's not the type of sales that Ziglar was. That's certainly not the type of sales that I am. I know you enough now to know that's not how you are either. We're going to educate you on what we can do to help you. That's what salespeople do, really, right? We have to find out what you need. We have to figure out how we can help, and then we have to show you how we can help. And if you agree, then you make the purchase. And if you don't, then you don't. We're not going to look. I'm going to tell you now more than ever, with the rise of social media, if you're a dishonest person, if you're out there cheating people, somebody's going to catch wind of it eventually. You know what I mean? It's like a lot harder to hide the fact that you're an unethical salesperson now. So I would actually say most salespeople are on the up and up. Now, again, there are certain industries where people are less trustworthy, it seems. Like, I hate to pick on Bitcoin, but it seems like every Bitcoin person I talk to is just trying to scam me. I don't know if that's true or not. That's the impression that I have.
Yeah.
So they have something that they have to overcome there.
Okay, because I know last couple times I was on, you do have a bunch of job seekers, or at least several job seekers who listen to your work. I would just say that one of the things I tell job seekers is, don't rely so much on the fact that you didn't work for a big brand.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't work for an IBM or a Johnson & Johnson or a Salesforce.com or a Google, because people don't really care where you worked. They care about how you performed where you worked, right? Yeah. They're not hiring you because you have Google on your resume. They're hiring you because of what you did at Google. So as salespeople looking for a new opportunity, it doesn't matter the name of the company where you work. It matters what your track record of success was.
I think I tell this to people all the time. I deal with job seekers every day. I go, look, there's 3 parts of your qualifications, if you will. There's your education, which is what it is, but there's your education. Then there is your experience, which again is what it is. And it doesn't, like you said, if you want to go get a job at Facebook and you've never worked for Google, that's not necessarily a deal breaker. And just because you worked for Google and you're trying to get a job at Facebook doesn't mean you're going to get hired either, right?
Exactly.
So that's what you're saying. It's not that working for Google is irrelevant, because some people will go, oh, you work for Google, that's cool. But, that's about all it is. It's right. Just, one of those eyebrow raise, hey, that's kind of interesting. And they'll probably ask you about that in the interview. But if you only work for mom and pop shops or, startup companies and things like that, that doesn't mean you're not qualified. But the third part, and the part that most people are missing out on, and why I actually do this show on Fridays, the Follow Me show, is the third part, who you know. Super important, because there's a thing that I'm trying to teach more and more people about. It's called informational interviews. Informational interviews would be like me interviewing you one-on-one, trying to pick your brain about, okay, well, you were the president of Zig Ziglar, right? You were the VP of Sandler and all these different things. I've never been that level. I'm a business owner now, but I never worked for somebody as a VP of sales or as a president of the company. I didn't ascend that ladder. If I wanted to, I would interview you and I would try to do a couple things at the same time. A, pick your brain, learn from your experience, but also develop a relationship that could turn into a mentor role where you would take me under your wing and open your Rolodex and say, hey, let me introduce you to a few people. That's the ultimate goal. That's what a lot of people are not doing. They are unfortunately wasting their time going job board to job board. And I run a job board. So I'm not saying job boards don't hold any value. But what I'm saying is if all you're doing is focusing on job listings and applying, and that's all you're doing all day, you're wasting your time. I can give you a hard stat if you guys like stats. 20% of job seekers are finding jobs through job boards right now. 20%. That means 8 out of 10 people are finding it another way. Well, what's the biggest source people are actually utilizing to find jobs right now? Are through relationships. Hey, so-and-so, do you know anybody looking for, and then you fill in the blank with what you do. And they go, you know what? I do. I know Michael. Michael owns a company. He's looking for a new office manager. Again, just hypothetically, but you know what I mean? And then I send an email to Mike, or maybe I will start a chat with the three of us and go, hey, Michael, I know you're looking for an office manager. I know Betty. Betty would be great. Or I know David. David would be great. And, you start the conversation and let it go from there. But that's how a lot of people are finding work right now.
Yeah, I put it in your post in the event I attended for you last week, I think. There's a great book out called Lose the Resume, Land the Job by the CEO of Korn Ferry. And it's all about that network. But I'll give you one more great book for your audience. The title of the book is called The Power of Who. The Power of Who, WHO. It's written by a guy by the name of Bob Beaudine, Beaudine. And it talks about everybody you need to know right now is already in your network. And he gives you the diagram of how to build it. So you have your top 12 people, but in those 12 people that you know that are already in your network, they can introduce you to thousands of other people who can either help you sell your products and services, give you a job, or help you find a job. It's right there.
Now, people express this in different ways. A common term you'll hear here on LinkedIn is tribe. It's the same. It's the same idea. I actually look at it as core. So the 12, if you will, because that number oscillates depending on who you're talking to, 10 up to 50, maybe up to 50. Sometimes people go as crazy as that. I don't think that that's possible to have 50 close friends like that. But maybe if you're really, I don't know, if you're older and you've had a longer time to develop these relationships, right? But certainly 10 to 20, somewhere in there seems to be, what people, but I call that the core. A lot of people will call that the tribe, but in that, and the way LinkedIn works, you've got your first degree connections, and then those take you to your second degree connections. So like somebody that Michael is connected to that I'm not connected to on LinkedIn, that is my second level. But it's still, for the who analogy, it's still part of my network because I'm connected to Michael and Michael's connected to them. And on LinkedIn, let's say Virginia. Let's say I'm not connected to Virginia, but Michael is. Okay, that would be my second. Now let's say Virginia's connected to Alon, and I'm not connected to Alon. Alon would be my third. But again, still in my network, it's like that Kevin Bacon six degrees of second separation with Kevin Bacon. You know what I mean? Like everything comes back down to bacon to me, Michael. I love bacon. Chopped bacon.
Hey, just I know we're bumping up on time probably, but for anybody who's in the audience and you are looking for a sales position and you do happen to have a military background instead of a college education, do not let anything that says college education or bachelor's degree required, because I will tell you that probably the most successful salespeople, the most dedicated, disciplined people that do the behaviors, I've hired awesome people from the military. So if you're in the military and you want to get a job in sales, man, you do not be bashful. Go for it.
100%. In fact, I work with an organization called Vets to Industry, which I think is the largest organization of its kind. They have over 750 partners listed on their site, 100% free. Everything is free. It's good for you, the military veteran. It's good for you, the active military who's looking to transition in the future. It's good for the Gold Star families. It's good for the spouses. So basically, if you're connected to the military in any form or fashion and you need any type of assistance, from peer-to-peer counseling to whatever you might need, job search assistance, resume help, coaching, they have free resources. I mean, you couldn't get through it all in a day. And I'm honored that they have Project Help You Grow on there. And I have them actually listed on my partners tab too. So I'm a huge vets supporter. I come from a family of veterans, and I have actually active duty members in my family right now that are in Afghanistan. So, the military is an important thing. But yeah, if you're in the military and you need help and you don't know where to go, you can come to me and I will I will get you some help for whatever it is that you need, right? If you need, to find a job, I'll point you to resources to help you find a job. If you need, a resume, you need a new LinkedIn profile, you need whatever, you can reach out to me and I will help you. I promise you, I have thousands of people in my network that would love to help you too.
If you're a sales leader on this call or a sales manager, or and your HR department is listed that bachelor degree required, I would I would give it a second thought, and I would maybe make sure you're not overlooking a huge class of people who really are dedicated to, and they've got such a team attitude too. They're not the lone wolves. They're going to come in with do the behaviors. You're shortchanging your company if you don't take a look at people with a good military background.
There's a lot of advantages to military folks. For one, they're used to taking orders. So, usually they're going to follow directions better than a lot of people. You don't have to worry about micromanaging them usually, and the stress is not going to get to them because, look, if you've ever had somebody shoot at you and then you say, I jokingly say the pressure cooker of sales. That's not the same type of pressure. To them, that's a walk in the park. You know what I mean? So there are a ton of advantages to the military. And I'm going to tell you something else that you guys probably haven't thought about as sales managers, because I didn't until I stopped being a sales manager. There are a lot of veteran-owned businesses that would love to purchase from veteran sales folks. So you pick up another, feather in your cap there too. So we are up against the clock. I want to be respectful of your time for sure. What I want to do right now is I just want to give you an opportunity, like if you have your website, if you have, all the different channels, if you want to give those to me, I will post them on here so that people can know how to find you. And if you're open to connect with anybody, just let us know who you're looking to connect with, and we'll get you set up that way. I really appreciate you being on my show.
Yeah, I'm really available on Facebook. You can find me easily. LinkedIn, you can find me, easily. Michael Norton at Tramazing.com. And we are all about the abundance mentality. We live by Ziglar's quote: "You can have everything in this life that you want if you'll just help enough other people get what they want." So, if I can help you find a job, if I can help you find a partner, if I can help you hire salespeople, if our company can help you accelerate your sales success, let me know, because we can do it through training, through program management, reinforcement, and sustainability, or giving you the enabling technologies that you need to.
And then your company website is Tramazing.com, is that right?
Tramazing.com.
I'm going to bring it up. I'm going to bring it up right now. We're going to plug it, and I'm going to put it in. I'm going to put it in the comments for you. Okay. So if you're looking to get a hold of Michael and how he can help you, look, if you haven't figured it out, I don't invite a lot of sales folks on my shows. In fact, you might be the first one, purely sales, that I've invited. I respect Michael a lot, right? He's a very smart person. He's got a lot of experience. We won't talk about how old he is, but, he's got a lot of experience. He's worked for some of the best companies. He's referencing them right here. You can see it, Sandler, Ziglar, Corporate Vision. Look at this. So this is a guy that I respect, admire, and encourage you to connect with. So go to Tramazing.com, hit this little button right here, which I'm about to do right now myself, and do that. And then, when you need something sales related, start there. See if we can help him out that way. Michael, thank you so much for being on the show. It's been my pleasure. Welcome back anytime. I'm going to give you a chance, if you want, just to wrap it up and give people some parting, little parting wisdom.
Yeah. So I think what I'd share with you is that another Ziglar quote, and it's that duty makes us do things well. Love makes us do things beautifully.
Hmm.
So, when we put love behind who we are and what we do, it changes the game. People say hope is not a strategy. Probably not, but hope is definitely a tactic. And there was nobody who was better at giving hope and encouragement than Zig Ziglar. Oh, and this is what I wanted to tell you. I almost forgot. On LinkedIn, Tremazing has taken over. We are just now taking over the Ziglar Inc. page on LinkedIn.
Oh,
So
cool.
it went dormant for like 2 years because of different ways that people in the company went. But we at Tremazing, you're going to see things coming through LinkedIn, some classic, awesome Ziglar stuff. And he was the master motivator and all about hope and encouragement.
I'm going to make you an offer right here on on the spot because I love Ziglar so much and he impacted my life. If you need help, you let me know. I know a little bit. So I can help you if you want me to help admin the page or make promotional stuff. I mean, this is what I do for a living, so I can help you out. And that'll be free. That'll be free of charge. It'd be my honor to do that.
Thanks, buddy.
Honestly, I've made millions of dollars in my career, in my sales career, and I'm going to say at least half of that is thanks to Ziglar. I got onto Ziglar early in my career, read his books, loved his philosophy, and adopted his strategies. And it's impossible for me to separate sometimes what Ziglar said versus what I thought. But you know what I mean? It's like,
of course.
It's embedded in my brain. So,
well, it's not what's new that works. It's what works that works.
Yeah.
And Zig's concepts are timeless. And so we've updated all the content for like today's learners. So we changed some of the stories, but it's the concepts. We'll never touch the integrity or compromise the integrity of what he was trying to get us to do. And so we're like thrilled to death to be selected as the company to carry the torch.
100%. That's a huge honor for sure. Cool. Well, Michael, we're gonna bounce. I'm gonna turn on that happy music again and go. Right. But before we go, I just want to let everybody know. So this was Follow Me Live. The week's largest networking event, week in and week out, is about to start. It's called Follow Me Friday. That is the post follows. I am going to tag Tremazing. I'm going to tag Zig Ziglar. I'm going to tag Michael in that post. If you want to connect with him, jump in. I'm going to do sales tips as the theme of Follow Me Friday this week. So if you've been watching going, oh, they didn't mention this tip or that tip or your favorite tip, you can give that. And I think that'll be a lot of fun. About half of my audience are in sales some way or the other. So it should be a lot of fun. The point of the post every week is, and we get 100 to 200,000 views, by the way. So it is a big post. The point of it is for you to get to know other folks. So don't just read it and shake your head and move on. It's not that kind of party. This is an engagement party. You talk, they talk, you talk back, they talk back, and you get to know each other. It's a little bit of a dance, icebreakers, so that you feel comfortable hitting that connect button. I suggest you follow everybody in the thread and everybody follow you. And as you're comfortable, then you hit the connection request. But I'm going to tell you a secret. The more you engage with people in posts, the more likely they will be to accept that connection request. That's the whole point. You want to get to second base. You got to get past first base. Follow Me First starts in about 10 minutes. It's going to be, what's your best sales tip? Give it to us in the comments. Michael, thanks again for joining. I have thoroughly enjoyed it.
Likewise. Thank you, Ira, and I'll see you soon.
Here comes that happy music. And I still can't dance.
See, pal.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Check out this page, Tremazing. It is awesome.